Complexity is everywhere. Instead of avoiding challenges or fearing failure, I've learned that you have to focus on what you can control. In work and in life, when that noise and chaos try to creep in, I choose to stay true to myself and remember who I love. That's how I control complexity.
Welcome back to Hacker Valley Red, where we're exploring the nexus of offensive cybersecurity and humanity with a hacker's mindset. Again, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Chris Cochran.
And I'm Ron Eddings. And let's go ahead and continue this journey of understanding and getting to know who hacks the hackers, the cybersecurity legends.
100%. We had to continue this conversation with Tommy. We talked a little bit about the sponsor for this season. One of the sponsors is Plextrack, where they are looking to unite the red and the blue side of the house. Ron, I know you've had experience on both sides of that coin. What is the most important aspect of having a medium in which to bring those two sides together?
Well, like we heard in the previous episode with Tommy, the struggle of hacking organizations, them getting hacked and really not having a line of defense. And then we saw things like HackerOne come into play. And this was connecting the bug bounty hunters with the teams and organizations themselves. But what about when the teams and organizations have their own red team? They have their own blue team. How do they work together? I hope that they're not using HackerOne and trying to bring external parties and internal parties in, but they have another solution that they can use to unite all of the internal parties needed. And I've seen that over and over again, working as an offensive operator, working as a threat hunter, no mechanism to ensure that the open ends are being closed out. And that's exactly what Plextrack does. It brings the reporting, it brings the actionable items to both sides of the house and make sure that these open ends get closed out.
100%. If that is interesting to you, bringing those two sides together, be sure to check out plextrack.com. That's plextrac.com/Hacker Valley, and they'll take care of you. So with that, we got to jump back into this conversation with Tommy. He has so much advice to give, so many more stories to tell. So with that, let's jump right back in.
So one of the things that I love about hacking is the fact that I'm ADHD. When I find something that I like, I hyper obsess over it until I finish it. Like when it comes to games, when I start playing a game, I have to be the best at it. I have to reach that number one spot. And then as soon as I do, I lose interest in it, because I see it as, okay, I'm done. There's not much more I can do in it. But when it comes to hacking, you can never finish. You can never learn everything there is about security. You can never learn everything there is about programming. You can never learn everything there is about, anything, vulnerabilities and stuff like that, And because of the nature of technologies evolving, even if you did learn everything there was about hacking IoT devices or something, tomorrow a new IoT device is out there. So you're right back to square one with at least that device and stuff, It's constantly evolving and it's constantly new stuff to learn. So it's one of the few things. Now, I do get burnt out at times. Like right now, I haven't done much hacking in the last 6 or 7 months. I've done some here and there, but I'm not spending anywhere near as much time hacking right now as I was, say, 18 months, 2 years ago. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've got a real job now. Just because I sit here for work all day, and the last thing I really want to be doing is sitting there and hacking for the 2 to 8 hours after I've sat there and worked. Yep. Now, don't get me wrong, I still sit on my computer and stuff when I get done working, but I'm playing games, I'm reading the news, I'm reading things on Wikipedia. Like I've got a bad habit of seeing something or hearing something and then Googling it. I'll open up the Wikipedia page. And as I'm reading through this page, I'll get to something else that looks interesting. So I'll open it up in the new tab. And like right now on my hacking machine behind me, I've got 17 tabs open from Wikipedia because I started reading about King Edward II of England in the 1400s and stuff, and it's like I end up in just these dark holes of learning stuff and everything. So it's hard for me to like get back into the hacking. And it really sucks because today's Thursday now. I got an email at 12:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning about one of my private programs. They had just added a new website to their scope. And I happened to be sitting there. I wasn't doing anything on my game. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a look at this. All of these bugs I found within like a couple of minutes of each other. And they were not directly related, but they were all around the same functionality. So I didn't write up any of the reports yet. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm kind of done looking at this area. So I'm going to go and start writing up the bugs and stuff. So I opened up the programs page. I clicked on submit report. And at the top, it's got the list of the assets for the company. And they want you to select which asset the vulnerability that you're reporting on is. And I start scrolling through it. And it's like, this asset's not listed in there. And I get all the way to the bottom of it. And it's grayed out. And it says out of scope. And I was like, wait, what? Maybe I forgot to refresh the page or something. So I go back to, or I do a hard refresh. And then I scroll to the bottom and it's still saying it's out of scope. So I was like, what the hell? I went and checked my email. I hadn't gotten any notification that they had updated the scope or anything. So then I go back to their page on HackerOne and I scroll down to the bottom and it's got a message down at the bottom that says, due to unforeseen problems or something like that, we're having to take this back out of scope. Essentially, when they brought it into scope, so many people started hammering it with automated tools and stuff like that they were taking the website offline. It was extremely slow and all kinds of stuff. Like they were hitting it so bad that I'm pretty sure somebody was doing some HTTP request smuggling testing on this application. But I'm really hoping that these bugs weren't reported by somebody else in the little like 2-hour long window that they had it open. And it kind of sucks. So I'm not very optimistic about it right now because HackerOne on each one of their programs, they've got like a little bit of stats about that program. And initially it had said that there had been 12 vulnerabilities submitted in the last 90 days. Well, when it updated later on that day or the next day, it was now up to like over 30 some vulnerabilities had been submitted in the last day. So it's like, I'm really hoping that they didn't submit the bugs that I found. When it comes to bug bounty hunting, I try and make it so that it averages out to where I make at least $1,000 an hour for my effort. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm more, sometimes I'm less, but I try and get it so it averages out to about that.
That's what a lot of people don't see is like all of the details that you're describing, like going into it from way back in the 90s and, you know, learning it through mentors, learning it the hard way, learning how to let go, learning how to readjust and take it back in, you know, take back in hacking and computer security. But, you know, looking at your past and also looking at your future, if you were to speak to a young version of yourself, maybe like some of our listeners that are on this track of wanting to, you know, grow their offensive operation skills, their red teaming skills, or pen testing skills, what piece of advice would you give the younger version of you while you were walking down this path of learning about the things that you were kind of hyper obsessed over?
The first advice that I would give is don't expect success overnight. Also, don't let failures discourage you. Just because when it comes to hacking, as I said earlier on, you're going to fail significantly more than you're going to succeed. And the people that are successful in bug bounties are the ones that don't let those failures discourage them. And they're willing to sit there and take those failures as exactly what they are, learning experiences. And it's like, just because you failed hacking this one target or this exploit didn't work on this one target doesn't mean it's not going to work on the next one, you know, or the one after that. The biggest thing when it comes to this and to be successful in this is you have to be willing to put in the effort. Don't expect people to do the work for you. Don't expect people to just give you some magic payload that's going to start giving you critical bugs and things like that. You know, I tell people all the time when they ask me, like, what is your advice to get started? And I tell them, go to HackerOne, read every single disclosed report that has ever been disclosed on HackerOne, because that serves a couple purposes. First, it shows you what companies pay for certain types of bugs. And second, it shows you not every disclosed report are valid bugs. You've got a lot of programs that when they get spam or really bad submissions that are like completely irrelevant, they'll disclose those too, because they have policies of disclosing every bug that comes to their program. So it lets people see things like that as kind of what not to do or how not to engage with programs and stuff like that. And it also gives you examples of real bugs. You know, most people want to spend all of their time when they're first starting out doing CTFs or hack the box or things like that. And I've got nothing against those platforms. I think they're amazing. At the same time, most of the capture the flag things and the hack the box stuff is not, those aren't the types of bugs you're going to find in real programs most of the time. Now, you will find those types of bugs occasionally in real programs, but the best way to learn the bug bounty stuff is just go out there and do it. You know, practice by hacking real programs. Go to the DoD. The DoD it is a vulnerability disclosure program. So they don't pay bounties for the main public program, but they have the largest scope on any other program. Like their scope is bigger than Google's, it's bigger than Yahoo's and all of them, just because for the DoD scope, it is every single military system that is on the internet. You know, so they use every possible technology stack you can think of. So you've got a huge pool of things that you can attack to learn and to learn from. You might want to go after Windows and IIS servers. You're going to find plenty of them on the DoD. You might want to go after Tomcat servers. They're there. You want to attack Nginx and Apache servers. They're there. You want to do PHP websites, ASP, JSP, all of it. They're all in use at the DoD. And it's really cool to hack the U.S. military and government and not go to prison for it, you know? But the biggest thing is just go out there and start trying to hack. Yes, you are going to fail, but every time you fail, you learn something. I'm a firm believer that to be a successful hacker, you've got to have a certain mindset and a certain way of thinking. And it's, how can I break this? Or how can I make this do something that it's not supposed to do? I do believe that you can teach just about anybody to do this kind of stuff, but for them to be like super successful at doing this, I feel that they're going to have that mindset, and not every aspect of that mindset can be taught to other people, you know? The way that I approach targets is not going to work for most other people, you know? Like the beauty of bug bounties and why it's so successful is because each one of the three of us, we can all be given the exact same target, the exact same level of permissions and stuff like that. And each one of us are going to approach that target different, you know? And we might find some of the same bugs, but odds are we're going to find different bugs because of the differences in how we approach the target, the differences in how we think and the payloads we think about using and things like that, you know? So don't try and mimic somebody else and with the goal of mimicking their success, because odds are you're just going to be disappointed. Like, build your own methodology, and it's okay to take parts of mine and take parts of Jason Haddock's and combine it together until you find your own flow of what works for you.
Yeah. You got me fired up. I know you got a lot of folks fired up out there wanting to get into this game. You know, it's an honor to chat with you, hear your story, and hear your advice. For the folks out there that want to stay up to date with you and everything you have going on in this crazy world of offensive cybersecurity, what are the best ways that people can do that? Twitter
is where I do my security related stuff. So it's where I post the tips and tricks. It's where I will interact with people and answer their questions and everything. But my biggest ask when it comes to people wanting to get information from me is post it publicly on Twitter. because odds are you are not the only person that has that same question. And if you post it publicly, I can answer it publicly. And now other people are going to be able to learn from that answer as well. You know, it reaches a lot more people when I publicly answer it versus responding to all of these DMs. And I do my best that if you post a question to me or ask me a question on Twitter, I do my best to answer every single one of them. And then Twitch, I'm trying to get into streaming more. My plan is that for all of my paid followers and stuff on Twitter, I want to start having these kind of like classes where around the 15th of each month, I will host a stream, and it'll be open to anybody that are the paying subscribers. And we will pick one bug class, say XSS or SQL injection, SSRF, something like that. Now, I don't know how successful we're going to be in finding the bugs, but I think it'll be fun to kind of teach people and do it that way so that they can actually learn, like spend some time learning it. And then, as I said, the best way to actually learn this stuff is to actually try and do the hacking and stuff, you know? So hopefully we'll get lucky and find some bugs.
Awesome. Well, we will be sure to drop your Twitter into the description for everybody to stay up to date with you, Tommy, and all the great work that you're doing.
I appreciate it.
And you got to come back whenever you start the Twitch, stream, just so we can remind everybody to join and check it out.
I am down to come back anytime you guys want to have me back. I love doing podcasts and stuff like that. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I really like the attention that I get from them. And that goes back all the way back into the 90s when I started out as a black hat. Because when I ran the World of Hell hacking group, me and my main co-defendant that I was always hacking with was Rafael Nunez Aponte. He is a Venezuelan national, and me and him spent just about every waking moment together. We were actually interviewed by CNN, like live on the air for CNN in September of 2001. So September 11th, 2001, we had the terrorist attacks here in the U.S., right? Me and a bunch of hackers from all over the world, we did what we felt was patriotic, and we formed a group called the Dispatchers. And our goal was essentially to disrupt the communications of Al Qaeda and any other terrorist organization. In hindsight, it might not have been the best course of action, but we definitely could have done it a little bit more targeted and everything like that. But me and one of the other founders of the Dispatchers, his name was Hacker Jack. He was the leader of a hacking group called Hackwiser. They interviewed both him and I, like just our voices and stuff like that, because we were active hackers and we didn't want to give up any information about us and everything. But it was really cool to hear our distorted voices on CNN and everything. And they even wrote a book about us, like hackers in general in 2002. An author named Dan Burton. He used to be a writer for Government Technologies magazine, and he ended up writing a book called Confessions of a Teenage Hacker, a Hacker's Diary, Confessions of Teenage Hackers. And chapter 5 of that book was titled World of Hell and was just about our hacking group and everything like that. So we loved the attention back then, and I still love the attention now. And it's nice that the good thing about now is that because I've already gotten in trouble for everything that I've done my prison time, and I don't have anything that I did illegally on the computer anymore that I can't talk about, because I've paid my debt to society and everything. And I think that's one of the big reasons that I've been able to make myself like semi-famous in the hacking world, is because I'm able to openly talk about everything. And it's crazy because tons of the hackers that are around my age that are in bug bounties had a similar start to me, but they didn't get arrested. So they can't talk about their malicious hacks or what got them started and stuff like that, So I'm thankful that I have all of that behind me and I'm allowed to talk about it and everything like that. And I have people ask me all the time, if you could go back in time, would you change anything? And it's like, would you not have hacked the bank in Colorado that ended up getting me sent to prison and stuff like that, you know? And I always tell people that there is not a single thing that I would change from back then, you know, because what I went through back then impacted who I am now. And the people that are in my life now would not have been in my life had I gone a different route. You know, if I wouldn't have been a bad hacker and I would have stayed on the good side and wouldn't have been expelled from school, would have gone off to college and things like that. And I would have just had a completely different trajectory for my life and stuff, you know, and I wouldn't change any of it. I'm content with being where I am today.
You know, we got, like I said, we're gonna definitely get you back on, because I mean, there's still so much that we got to unpack, and I feel like 1 hour, even 5 hours wouldn't be enough. So we'll break it up over many podcasts. But wanted to say thank you again, Tommy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for not banishing me when I sent you a DM. But I really hope we get to do it again. And with that, we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you very much.
Oh man, I mean, we could have gone on forever with this episode, sure. And we will. I mean, we're gonna have Tommy DeVoss, aka dawgyg, back on. And by the way, if you have any questions that we can push to Tommy for you on your behalf, we would love to ask him next time on our podcast. And you can reach out to us at podcast@hackervalley.com or join our Discord by visiting hackervalley.com/Discord, because speaking to Tommy is a breath of fresh air to hear the story that someone in the bug bounty industry has gone through from early in their life all the way to becoming $1 million hacker. You don't really get that type of insight and stories unless, you really focus on highlighting the human like we're trying to do with Hacker Valley Red.
100%. Just listening to everything that he was saying, it was truly inspiring because, I mean, taking someone that is that passionate about technology and security and not only making it entertaining, but also making it super impactful and valuable for everyone that's out there today. A lot of really good tips about being persistent, going through failure, because it's not going to come overnight. Nothing great is done quickly. It takes time. So that's one of the things that I absolutely took away from both of these episodes was his story. We're definitely going to have him back on to answer the questions that you get sent to us through email, because there's so much more to unpack there with somebody like Tommy.
With that said, I cannot wait for the next episode, but to also speak to Tommy again. We have more episodes to come on Hacker Valley Red and a full catalog of podcasts in general. We would love to share them with you and your network. The reviews, comments, conversations about Hacker Valley mean the world to us. So thank you for joining us. And with that, we'll see everyone next time.